yeah, he's fit, keen, ready to go. So he's going to be a great challenge, and gives me an opportunity to really try to obviously figure him out and try to get myself, show like the world what I can do as well. Maybe it'll end up on the ground, maybe it won't. Who knows what'll happen? So yeah, I'm just keen to get in there and hopefully put a clinic on him. Find a way to put him out either on the ground or standing.
First of all, introducing our challenger.
Coming out of the blue corner. He's going to step in, and he does. It's all over.
Let's bring on the boom.
This is Eternal MMA.
All right, everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here once again on another edition of Eternal Insiders. We are being joined today by your Eternal MMA Flyweight champion ahead of his next title defense against Max Liali at the upcoming card in Perth, Western Australia for Eternal 85. The champ is here, ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Drilich. Anthony, thank you for joining me back here on the show, man. Always a pleasure to talk to you. How are things trending with you ahead of this one, man? We're less than 2 weeks away. It's getting close. Pretty exciting.
2 weeks now. Yeah, 2 weeks now. So, yeah, first of all, yeah, thanks, Luke, for having me on. And, yeah, I'm keen for this fight. Obviously, I only got a couple of weeks left. So, end of my fight camp, and I'm ready to put this dude out.
Let's get it, brother. I mean, last time I talked to you, I think, was after the first time you captured the title at Eternal 80 against Frank Jankowski. One of the things you said to me was you were slowly just sort of getting used to everyone around the gym calling you champ because it was your first title defense. That was something that you were starting to get used to. You've had a title defense and everything since then. Has the term the title champ sunk in for you? Surely now being called champ is something you're used to.
I guess, yeah, a little bit, I guess. Yeah, some people call me it, some people call me Ant, some people call me Anthony. So, yeah, one of those things, I guess. Just got to get used to.
That's it, man. I mean, we talked about that last fight that got us here ahead of this title defense against Max Liali, and we'll talk a little bit about him. But huge performance at Eternal 83 against Satoru Enomoto. Second round TKO against the former Pancrase champ. Looking back on that one in hindsight, man, how impressed were you with that performance for yourself? How happy were you with your performance? It was an incredible knockout finish. Your assessment of that one?
Yeah, obviously, I was very happy. First title defense ever. So there's obviously those natural pressures that get put on you. For my performance, there's things I would have liked to do and things I could have done better. But I guess at the end, I was able to find a knockout in the second. So I was able to get the job done, and hopefully I put a good show on for the audience.
Speaking of that knockout, man, I mean, I've watched it back so many times, and it looks like, that left hand, you dropped him with it in the second round. Of course, you finished him off with the ground and pound, but it looked to me on camera like you kind of glanced him. It didn't look like a caught flush, but I mean, if that's the case, if it didn't catch him absolutely flush, speaks to the power that you're still carrying down in flyweight, man. Did you catch him clean? Was it a bit of a glancing shot? What do you remember from that initial strike?
It was glancing. I think I glanced him across like the bottom of the jaw, maybe like below the ear somewhere, and I just clipped him. Yeah.
And then obviously we managed to finish him off with the ground and pound to seal that win, man. Very impressive for your first title defense. I mean, you look at him as an opponent too and what he sort of brings to the table. A lot was sort of being made of his style, in the cage. It was sort of, kind of weird, kind of long-standing, a little bit of showboating. I think at times he was sort of reaching down to the canvas and sort of touching it and everything. Was that anything that kind of threw you off your game plan at all, or was that something that just didn't have any effect and you were able to implement what you planned on coming in and doing ultimately?
I didn't really think about it too much, like when I was in the fight until I watched it again. But yeah, I just stayed focused really in the fight. I moved around. I was trying to, especially in the first, try to figure him out. And yeah, I always remember right before I was walking in, I could see like obviously the screen had him. The screen was there filming him, and it was backflipping and jumping. And I was like, all right, I know first round he's going to be wiry and he's going to be like bouncing in and out and all over the place. And I guess he kind of did. So, I kind of almost knew he was going to be quick and agile and really edgy, I guess. So I just stuck to my guns and just felt him out in the first, and in the second I was able to find a way to knock him out, and yeah, got it done.
I mean, we sort of had a bit of a trend lately of, getting overseas guys to come in and give you guys a challenge when it can be a little bit tricky to find you a fight locally, which is a very cool thing to see because we're seeing you guys get fights, you can defend your titles, and we're also branching out to these other regions and making connections. It is a very cool thing. But, from that perspective, ahead of that fight, did you know much about him? I'm sure he wasn't really anyone that you sort of knew ahead of the fight, but was he someone that you were able to game plan for, ahead of this fight coming in, or was it sort of a bit of a blank canvas before you did meet him in the cage?
Well, I had help from people like my brother and my coach who were able to find some footage on him. So yeah, obviously I can only learn so much from as much footage as we can. Yeah, we kind of knew the things he's good at, kind of the things he wasn't so good at. And yeah, we just worked on pretty much everything and just focused on a couple of things that might help me in the fight. So yeah, it wasn't a complete I wasn't going in there completely blind. I had a few things in mind I could do and maybe things I could have watched out for. But yeah, I was able to just go in there and feel them out, and I kind of had my feet ready to go and my hands ready to go by the end of the first. And when the second round came, I thought I could find a way to put him out.
And you certainly did find a way to put him out, man. I mean, as far as having those hands ready to go, that left hand, man, it always looks ready to go. For anyone that hasn't seen either any or enough Anthony Drilich fights, I mean, get yourself on UFC Fight Pass and just look out for that power that he's carrying down in flyweight, because it's an absolute weapon and we love to see it get off. Of course, you had that win, man. Very impressive. What was sort of the aftermath like for yourself? Did you get a bit of a chance to celebrate it? Was it just straight back in the lab to get back on the grind? What was those sort of coming days after that fight and that big win for you?
Normally I try to give myself at least 5 days to a week to try to just relax, and any injuries or ningles that might have happened through camp, gives myself a chance to rest. But obviously myself and my brother run a business, so it's never just I can lounge around and do nothing. Sometimes I wish I could, but it's real life. So it's more just for the week after, just eating a little bit of food and being able to just relax a bit more and maybe do a little bit of technique, and that's about it. And then kind of hit it again straight after that and right back into camp.
No, of course, the Drilich Combat Academy, I believe you're referring to there. How are things going at the academy there, man? Am I right in thinking that last time I spoke to you, you are opening up another location or something like that? Am I making that up in my head? I might be thinking of something else. Is that correct? How are things going?
Yeah, we opened up a new premises just around the corner from the old one. Bit bigger building, nicer parking, things like that. And
was this in June, Dollop? Am I getting that right? I'm not.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. And how are things going with that?
It's going great. Getting a good flow of members coming in, and great place to be. Great guys and ladies. So we just do our best and we keep at it. And people seem to come and enjoy it, so we just keep doing what we do.
I love it, man. And that dynamic with your brother, as far as working together and everything, him being one of your coaches, what's that dynamic like? I mean, there's so many things that I guess you're trying to achieve for yourself in terms of your goals, and we know what those goals are. What's that like, sort of being on that path with him and being able to share in that experience with your family?
Probably the best thing I could have ever done in my life, to be honest. Obviously, me and my brother have been very close since we were pretty much born, and obviously things like this where a fight comes up or I'm in camp or anything really, he's able to help me out a lot. So yeah, without him, there'd be wouldn't be much I could do. He takes a lot of weight off my shoulders in times like this. So yeah, lots of thanks to him as well.
Shout out to the brother, of course. Can't do this without the family. Can't do it without the friends. Of course, we can't do it without the fans, man. Back in Perth, Western Australia for this one. Of course, you're originally from Queensland. You fought in Queensland, of course, last time, but the last time you did fight in Perth was against another Perth native in Frank Jankowski. This one coming up, you got the Perth crowd all to yourself, man. We know what the HBF Stadium is like in Perth, Western Australia. It's an absolute good time there. What are you expecting the reception to be like for this one? We know they like a big sellout crowd. We know they like to get pretty nuts. There's lots to look forward to.
Yeah, WA crowd is always good. Yeah, not much to say other than, they love it. I guess they just enjoy it. And obviously, it's always nice when you can fight in your hometown and have the crowd backing you. That's always good.
We turn ahead to your opponent, Max Liali, representing Hong Kong, training out of Thailand for the most part of what I can see. With an American accent, I'm keen to learn a little bit more about Max, and I will when we eventually have him on the podcast to talk to him about the fight. What do you know about Max? 5-2 record coming into this one. Another international opponent coming over to give you your next test. What do you know about him, if anything?
There's not a whole lot I know about him. Very surface level, I guess. Seems to be able to strike quite well. Obviously, he's living in Thailand or training there, so obviously Thailand's got some of the best Muay Thai guys in the world. His jiu-jitsu is great as well, so there's like obviously both things we've got to look out for, both the striking and the grappling. Yeah, he's fit, keen, he's ready to go, so he's going to be a great challenge, and gives me an opportunity to really try to obviously figure him out and try to get myself, show like the world what I can do as well. Maybe it'll end up on the ground, maybe it won't. Who knows what'll happen? So yeah, I'm just keen to get in there and hopefully put a clinic on him. Find a way to put him out either on the ground or standing.
I mean, just on that, and I mean, of course, you prepare for all outcomes in the fight. Sometimes it goes distance, sometimes there's finishes. But we look at both your guys' records. I mean, 3 out of his 5 wins come by way of finish. Yourself, 5 out of your 7 wins, I believe, by way of finish. So a couple of finishes here in the ring. Of course, with the limited knowledge that you sort of have on him, is there any chance this fight goes the distance? I know you got to prepare for sort of everything, but what does your sort of instinct tell you in terms of, what you bring to the table, what he brings to the table? Are you sort of leaning either way in terms of how this one sort of plays out?
Oh, well, obviously I'm hoping and I
But
like
it's you.
find a finish. Yeah, of course. So yeah, find a way to put him out one way or another, but it could go the distance. Who knows? I can't see the future. So obviously I prepared as much as I can and as hard as I can for this fight. And if it goes the distance, hopefully it's a good show. And I came out victorious really, and I can put a good show on and put a clinic on them.
Is that like a pressure that you feel at all? Like, because we look at everything that you've done in Eternal MMA and the fantastic performances you had, the devastating finishes, the story of you coming down from fighting at welterweight, as a teenager, coming all the way down through the ranks and somehow making it down to flyweight, carrying that power with you. And we see that on display. Is there any extra pressure for you to kind of top those performances in terms of looking for a finish? Is that something you feel at all?
No, I don't think there's any pressure. I just go in there and do my thing really, and the outcome will be the outcome. I just hope to put on a good show really and not look pathetic really, So, yeah, I just do my thing. I train hard and work hard, so I'm just going to go in there and let it take over and find a way to put them out really in 25 minutes or whatever time we've got.
No, I mean, there's certainly no evidence on record of you ever looking pathetic, man. So I don't think there's any danger of that happening. We know how exciting an Anthony Drilich fight is, so it gives us so much to look forward to, certainly for this upcoming card for Eternal 85. Now, speaking of Perth, I mean, a lot has been made recently about the Perth MMA scene, the guys fighting out of Perth that are making big waves locally and internationally as well. You look at the guys that we've had in Eternal MMA, guys like Jack Della Maddalena, our former welterweight champion, doing massive things in the UFC, of course, training at Scrappy MMA with yourself. Quillan Soulkilled, obviously recently just got his contract signed for Dana White's Contender Series, our lightweight champion. Of course, the biggest example in the comparison to you, Steven Erceg, of course, fighting for the title over in the UFC, our former flyweight champion. Now, the comparisons have obviously been made with you guys because you're both a couple of Perth boys. You're friends, you've trained together and everything, but you've made it very clear that you want to forge your own path. But you look at all the sort of the chances that these guys from your area have been afforded recently, and rightfully so, mind you, because of the performance you've been putting on. Looking at a guy like Steven who went to the UFC from Perth, got a chance to fight for a title within a couple of fights and being in the UFC. As far as the goals that you want to attain, does this make it like, I know it's obviously a more than realistic prospect and that's what's sort of next for you, but does it kind of make, I guess, that opportunity feel so much closer given what those guys from your area have been able to achieve?
Yeah, 100%. Like, obviously the spotlight seems to be on West Australia, all of Australia at the moment. So, I'm gonna try to take advantage of it. And while the spotlight's here, I'm gonna, pump these fights out and hopefully put some good shows on and yeah, be in the same place hopefully soon.
I'm just curious, speaking of Stephen, what were your thoughts on Stephen's fight? Were you in the corner of thinking he got the job done? I know obviously, you guys know each other and that sort of thing, but what did you make of that fight with Stephen and that flyweight title shot?
Honestly, it was an amazing fight.
Yes.
I've only seen the whole fight once. That was when it was obviously live. I haven't rewatched it. I need to do that again. But yeah, it's a hard one. Like the old saying, what is the old saying? Don't leave it in the hands of the judges.
Of course.
So the striking, Steve. I give it the striking to Steve. Obviously, he got taken down maybe a couple of times. I think towards the end, he tried to go for a shot and got reversed or something. So I'm sure he's probably kicking himself a bit right after that fight. But, damn, you got to give it, you got to tip your hat to him. He put on a bloody show. Took it to him.
100%, man. I mean, given how close you sort of are to being on that stage, you're sort of right on the cusp there. When you're watching these fights and you're seeing those guys from your region in these fights in UFC, like, how vicariously are you living through these guys right now? See them up against the guys they're sort of fighting. Like, are you firmly sort of in that mindset right now, putting yourself in their shoes and being like, man, that's going to be me sooner, rather than later?
Yeah, I feel like, I see these guys, who I train with or I see or, and they're doing great, doing real well in the UFC or whatever avenue they're going through. And I know I'm just waiting right now. I know I'm going to be next. And I just got to keep going, just keep pushing. I'm at the cusp right now, I believe. And, I'm so close. So I just got to keep at it.
One more and I'll let you go, man. Be it either an opportunity through, Dana White's Contender Series like we're seeing Quillard Soulkill doing right now, or be it a contract straight up. Are you viewing this upcoming title fight against Max Leali at 85 with a big-time win, another title defense? Are you seeing that as officially your ticket punched for a chance to fight in the UFC?
Hopefully that's it. Hopefully I put an amazing show on and do something pretty spectacular and they see that, then yeah, they want me into the UFC. That's obviously the goal. That would be nice. But, whatever happens, and I'll just keep at it, just keep going forwards and yeah, keep winning. That's the plan anyway. Just keep knocking these dudes out, then give them no other reason but to accept me.
No, and I know that's very typical you, man. You'll get on the grind and no matter what gets thrown at you, no matter the opponent, no matter the opportunity, I know you'll take that with both hands, be it locally or be it internationally. But I think you've more than earned it at this stage, man. Coming with a 7-1 record, putting on absolutely cracker performances. Another dyed-in-the-wool Perth boy, obviously from Queensland, but representing the Perth boy as well. So you're a Perth boy through and through now. So we'll call it a Perth boy. So huge things in your future, man. Let's not look too far ahead of this one. Of course, Eternal 85 versus Max Leali for the flyweight title. Thanks for coming on the show to talk about it, brother. Very much looking forward to seeing how this plays out at the HBF Stadium. Always a cracker. And we'll talk to you again, man, after this next fight. Hopefully for yourself, putting that title back around your waist and talking about what comes next for you.
Thank you, Luke, for having me on.